Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Comics. This time I'm reviewing Star Trek Episode 6, The Impossible Box. So, we get another flashback, and we see Soji as a kid, or is it Dodge as a kid? Who knows? I doubt the writers even know. And we see her sneak into a workroom of some kind, and she sees a man, Maddox presumably, but she can't see his face clearly. And then she wakes up. Then we come back to the present, and Jurati tells Picard and the others that Maddox is dead. She explains, his heart just gave out, just couldn't take it. And Picard takes it all very well, considering that finding Maddox was one of the main goals of this mission, wasn't it? Oh, so Maddox is dead, you say? Oh, well, moving on. So then Picard gets on the computer to do some research on the Borg, which seems a bit odd. He was part of the Borg. He would know them better than the people studying them, wouldn't he? But we do get this cool shot where we have the holographic screen in the foreground, and Picard is standing right behind it, and then we get an image of him as Locutus that comes up, and it's sort of superimposed on his own face. And it is actually a pretty cool shot. I like that. Then we get a scene of Jurati and Rios. Rios is kicking a soccer ball around the spaceship late at night, as one does. And Jurati shows up, and she can't sleep, and she's clearly struggling with her murder of Maddox. And then they start sucking face, and I guess they're a thing now? I don't know. I don't care. Then we go back to the Borg cube, and we see Narek, the Romulan twink, talking with his sister who bullies him constantly. And they're talking about Soji and how her memories are buried in her subconscious. And if he can bring them out, then he can get the information they want from her without activating her self-defense routines, like they did with Dodge back on Earth, by exploring her dreams. Then we get a scene with Picard and the others talking about how they're going to get access to this Borg cube where Soji is, as it's in a restricted area. And Rafi contacts a Federation captain that owes her a favor and convinces her to give Picard diplomatic credentials. And this scene feels very tacked on. It feels like they really just put it in here to give Rafi something to do. Then Narek talks to Soji and continues saying things to her that prompt her to question her identity. He mentions that he's been monitoring her communications, which, red flag right there. Soji. So he mentions that her calls to her mother always last exactly 77 seconds. He tells her she fell asleep after talking to her mother. Has that ever happened before? Soji says no. Then we go back to the siren and Rafi's on the vape or the meth again or whatever it is. Again, I don't care. Then Soji calls her mother and she starts to fall asleep again. And her subroutines kind of start to kick in. And then she starts going through a bunch of old photographs and mementos, all fakes, I assume. And she scans them, and the scanner keeps telling her that all the images and everything, they're all only 37 months old. Then Picard arrives at the Borg cube, and Picard meets with Hugh, and they discuss Hugh's work with reclaiming the former Borg, and Picard praises Hugh for the work that he's doing, and he gets a nice scene where he talks about the Borg and how, the people who become drones, they're victims, they're not monsters, etc. It's actually a pretty good scene. It's the best scene in this episode. It actually felt like Next Generation again for a second there. Like, hey, this is a show I'd actually like to watch. Then Narek takes Soji to this special room where she can try to explore her dreams through meditation, while Narek's sister is observing them without Soji knowing about it. And so we go through the dream sequence from the beginning again, where she sees Maddox in his workroom, and then she sees her sister or duplicate Dodge lying in pieces on a table like a doll. And then she looks up in the sky and sees 2 red moons in the sky. And at that point, Narek and his sister figure they've got what they need to identify the planet that the other synths are hiding on. So then Narek tells her that, she's not real. And then he leaves her trapped in the room and then tries to kill her with some radiation, which is released from this puzzle box that he's been carrying around all episode. And I believe it's supposed to be Thalaron radiation, which was used in the opening scene of Star Trek Nemesis to kill the Romulan High Council. Of course, in that scene, the stuff killed everyone pretty much instantly. But this stuff doesn't because, I don't know, she's an android, I guess? I don't know. And then she punches a hole in the floor, which is wood. It's a wood-paneled room. Why is there a wood-paneled room in the middle of a Borg cube? I mean, how does that... God, I don't... Forget it. So she punches a hole in the floor and escapes. And then she drops right through a hole in the ceiling right in front of Hugh and Picard. And Picard convinces her to come with him. And the lethal radiation that was in the room very conveniently just stays in the room and doesn't leak out through the big hole she made and start spreading through the ship, killing everybody. Because this show is dumb. Jesus. So Hugh takes them to this emergency long-distance transporter, basically. It's called a spatial trajector. Now, this is a form of technology that the Borg acquired when they assimilated the Sicarians, a race that appeared in the 9th episode of Voyager's first season, in an episode called Prime Factors, I believe it was called. In that episode, Janeway was trying to negotiate with Sicarians to get this technology in order to use it to speed up Voyager's trip home. In the end, the Sicarian government declines, but one Sicarian is willing to sell them the tech illicitly. So Tuvok meets with him and makes the exchange and gets the trajector. But when they activate it, they discover that it actually relies on the crystalline mantle of the Sicarian homeworld as an amplifier to function. So once it's removed from the planet, it doesn't work. Also, the technology produces anti-neutrinos that nearly cause a warp core breach. But Hugh activates the trajector and it works anyway without a problem because reasons. Picard and Soji go through the spatial projector. People, I mean, really. I mean, come on. This show is just, ugh. So Picard and Soji go through the spatial projector, escaping to a planet 40,000 light years away. Well, Elnor and Hugh hold off the Romulan guards trying to stop them, or something. And the episode ends there. So, I mean, as episodes go, this one wasn't the worst. It's definitely... I mean, I don't know what else to say after that last episode. I mean, that last episode... Just, it killed... It destroyed Star Trek. It destroyed the Federation. It destroyed this vision that Roddenberry had of the future. I mean, that is invalid now, apparently. And I just don't know how they go back from that. But enough on that episode. I've already done my review of that one. So this episode, I mean, it's not awful. It's mostly just kind of boring. It's really just completely uninteresting until Picard gets to the Borg cube, which is in like the last, act of the show. The last, 15 minutes or so. Up till that, it's pretty much a bore. And again, I mean, there's so many things here, the dream where she very conveniently looks up and there happens to be a hole in the room she's in so she can see the twin moons. The Thalaron radiation. Oh my God. So, but again, then Soji, she's in this room filling with radiation. So she punches a hole through the floor and escapes. And the radiation just stays in the room and doesn't leak out, And even just a few minutes before that, she tries to get out through the door. And Narek tells the guard, no, don't open it. You'll let the radiation out and it'll kill us. But then Soji punches a hole in the floor and escapes. And then apparently the radiation just very politely stays in the room. Apparently it's not affected by gravity or something. I don't know. I've already put more thought into this episode than the people that wrote it. So, yeah, there you go. And we're, past the halfway point on this thing. I believe next episode is where we finally get to see Riker and Troy, who, of course, were shown in the advertisements, and we've all been waiting to see. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This thing, I hate the show. I hate the show. I hate it. I hate this whole Kurtzman Trek. This stuff is crap. It's dumb. And it's just... Anyway, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Is this show crap? If you do, let me know in the comments. And also, if you like this content, please hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. And I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.